Mr. Ryan Lee, welcome to the show, man. Thanks so much for coming on here.
Cheyenne.
Great to have you, man. How's it going?
Thanks. It's good. It's good. It's really good to be here. Honestly, super excited. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
It's been a little while since we chat, so it's extremely good to catch up. Always get
Absolutely.
energy.
Dude, we go way back, man. We go way back.
Yeah, we do.
Door-to-door days,
It's
man.
good.
Oh, what good times, man. For everybody to kind of give you a little intro of who Ryan Lee is, he's actually in the influencer e-commerce industry where he works with, very, very popular influencers and helps them. You mainly work with like YouTube influencers
Yeah,
that have
YouTubers, Twitch
ambitious.
streamers,
Okay,
things
yeah.
like that.
You're
Instagram.
working with like a top three Twitch streamer kind of thing, and
Exactly.
you help them kind of use merchandise to add revenue. Maybe you can give us a little backstory of that.
Yeah, it's an ever-changing, constantly growing industry, and it's super fun and exciting. And what we take care of is e-commerce. So we do merchandise products, whether it be apparel, mugs, product, homewares, skateboards, shoes, anything, everything, to create custom items and brand them for influencer stores. Right, so they can create their own fashion brands and monetize their business that way. We've been fortunate enough to work with like the mega influencer industry, but the industry is absolutely exploding from the micros, and there's so many more people, this industry is extremely exciting. We've just been fortunate to specialize with a few of the bigger streamers.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, it's been a lot of fun.
I mean, you're doing some big numbers, man. You're working with like combined like 170 million subs. So you
we
guys
were
are
yeah
tons of traffic, right?
yeah we I mean, it's we're just a startup at the end of the day, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say that we have this massive empire of all.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Like we have a great client. It's an influencer network that has a great roster, right? And we're working on just outputting the best merch that we can, and doing the coolest, most fun things that we believe in, and just do the best possible processes. We believe in all the automations and the processes in the industry. And all in all, at the end of the day, we find that there's so much to go around. There are so many influencers, and everything is growing so quickly. We're so fortunate. We just honestly, it's a lot of fun, and the merch is really cool. It's always fun to work with things that you can touch and feel, but at the same time, helping people earn money from their homes. Adding that revenue stream,
Mhm.
whether it be through Shopify, whether these big giants are in the industry, eBay, Amazon,
Mhm.
utilizing the technology available to really add that extra value, right, to their communities and fans.
And you know what? It's really cool to see how you guys are just blowing up. Like, I mean, you guys kind of ventured about 6 months ago into this, and with the whole COVID situation, it turns out that you're just like kind of just taking a rocket launch, eh?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, at the end of the day, like we work really hard to just provide the best thing we can, and it's a disruptive industry, right? That's the trendy word right now, is that
Okay.
this traditionally was a retail industry. People
Mm,
would buy the things from shops. And the pandemic certainly altered the trends to push people for online, and push people online for many things, for shopping, for content, for
yeah.
just comfort, just being part of communities, socializing, right? Which was sometimes difficult, as everyone can understand. So
Mhm.
you're all of a sudden being funneled into this online world. For many people, that was new. For many people, it was old, but they just, they're already familiar, but they kept going into it. And because the industry is growing so rapidly, we just got, you know, we're a sales background, and we were able to work with, people that we really had a good relationship and bond with. And when
Mhm.
you can provide value in an industry that's growing and just do good work, I mean, you can call it blowing up, but it's really the industry that does work, right? You just got to be there. And I think this is a time where I think everybody should be investing into this influencer, not necessarily influencer e-commerce, right? But the influencer industry alone, the content behind it, how the online world is taking over. There are so many opportunities, and I would just say this: it's never too late. You know?
Yeah. Totally, man. Yeah, you know what? Like, on this show, the Limitless Line Show, we want to showcase all the different journeys that people are going through, all the stories to really showcase that there
Nice.
are no limits, right? There are no limits to what you can do, and you're a living example. Like, I met you a long time ago when we were doing door-to-door sales, and you were a great leader to me. I really admired
Thanks.
your teaching. I thought you were just amazing, man. Like, and everybody says that. It's not just me. I know you're a humble guy. You don't like to, um, you know,
Oh,
all that, but like,
thanks, Cheyenne.
yeah, man, no, it's incredible, and I'm looking forward to getting into a little bit of that as well and sharing with the audience, some of the lessons that,
Nice.
you kind of learned in
Absolutely.
your journey. I mean, you come from some humble beginnings, right? You've traveled and lived in different
Yeah.
cities. You're now in, is it Barcelona you're in, or
Barcelona. Absolutely. Yeah. In Spain.
so we met in Vancouver, right? And I think you're from Hawaii. Were you born in Hawaii?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was born in Korea. So I was born in Korea.
Yeah,
I grew up in Hawaii,
grew up in Hawaii. Yeah.
lived in Vancouver 7 years and Spain for 6. So
Wow.
it's been a little bit of a loop-de-loop around the world,
Yeah.
identity crisis in some ways, but it's
Yeah.
been fun. It's been an adventure, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to everybody out there, but
Yeah.
if you have the calling, hey,
You know
just
what?
try
Like,
it, I guess.
I see like people who go through these kinds of journeys, they have so much wisdom. And it's interesting how it just comes natural to you. Like you're just like it's almost like you're like a born leader, and it shows like the success that you're having now, and just how far you've gone now. You're kind of set on the vision of having a family, and I kind of want to get into that. But
Absolutely.
like right now, pretty much, you're in the influencer e-commerce space. You're working with basically content creators as well. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. So
Yeah.
we work with some musicians as well, who want to do their merch stores and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're in chats to talk with some Mixer, or sorry, not Mixer. Sorry, that came up because Mixer actually just shut down today, so it's hot on the mind. TikTok influencers. Twitch is a huge platform, and we really love Twitch streamers. Like, it's just an amazing partnership altogether. They're so committed to what they do. But YouTube, obviously, YouTube's a big one. People are always have been and still are blowing up on YouTube, and there's more platforms coming out every day, right? So always speaking with different influencers all over. It's just hard to scale what we do in terms of onboarding as many people. So we're actually not looking at all for any new clients, right? Which is a unique position to be in, especially from a sales background. We're like not looking at all for any clients, because we simply want to give what we have the maximum we can, right? And we know that that's enough for us, like truly. So we've been fortunate to be in an industry like that. I would say that that's not normal for most startups. I wouldn't accredit it to any sort of crazy ingenious plan that I had, not at all. I would just sort of say that, when you tie all the experiences together, and like they used to tell us back in the day, right? You just prepare as much as you can. You prepare and work as hard as you can, as long as you can. And someday an opportunity comes. And when it does, you just got to be able to keep your eyes open and just try to seize it and give it everything you got. We were lucky to be able to be fortunate to do that. And here we are,
Yeah,
it's
that's
been
awesome.
it's been a roller coaster.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's get into that roller coaster. Before
Yeah.
we get into that, I'm curious to know, like, what did you find in this space that you're in that was lacking, where you're able to just kind of go in there and in 6 months, get tremendous amount, get a good
It's
amount of success, right?
it's the best way I can word it is that, well, you're tying the online world to a very old industry, and that's printing and manufacturing, right? You're tying two ends of opposite industries that just don't get along. You're talking about people who want to print things and who's printed things for ages in their families and know that trade better than anybody in their life, dealing with people who are doing online API scaling, order functioning, project managing matrix. Like, do you know agile technology? You're like, what? I print things, man. And combining these two, and what ends up happening is a big mess And people, watching or out there who've bought merchandise online may agree that quality sometimes misses or prices are too high, right? So when you have an industry that's where all these mistakes are happening, right? If you can imagine, you're getting people who print things, physical goods, to make them within few days and ship them to countries all over the world in thousands of units a day, right? And product SKUs that go into the hundreds. So it's very complex systems involved. It's very high level logistics involved. It's a lot of wheels and people and countries and regions. So it takes so much to make it work. To get it to work perfectly, it requires a lot of grit. It requires a lot of cleverness, but and it requires a lot of technology that's just recently came out, right? So I'm not going to say that like, oh, people have missed it. No, it's a new ever changing thing, but it's the ability to deliver a good, much like you would get at a retail store, online from a shop that's an influencer, that's customized, that's different, right? So it's that twist of this wasn't made in some manufacturing plant to go into an H&M. This was actually made custom for this person who's presenting it on their store right now. And when that person buys it, it's then made and sent somewhere around the world within 7 days, 10 days. That's the complexity that people want, right? The Amazon Prime Now world that we live in. That's what I want. I want to just be able to buy it. I like this streamer. Let me buy it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get it in a week. But the reality of that is extremely difficult, and people have been trying. So the reason why there's such a big pain point in the market is simply because it's just that two worlds trying to merge, and there's been a lot of new business classes in between that are able to now make that gap not so big, right? Agencies and tech companies and APIs and all this sort of in-betweens that have now come out to glue those two opposites aside, right? I'm not printing, right? I'm not shutting off after here and going and manning some printing machines, right? I'm one of those pieces. That's all I am, right? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the major cog. I'm nothing. I'm just the middle person who connects and can make the dream happen because of the network that we have and the people that we know, and the grit that we believe, right? So being able to really live that dream, deliver high quality goods out, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, right? You can't get the best goods out there for cheap online through your normal influencer, and that's why we're able to thrive.
Nice. That's awesome, man. You know what? Like, I think that content creation space that you're in, right, for those influencers, it's really blowing up in the last couple of years, I guess. And just recently, actually, I don't know if you guys are aware about this, but Joe Rogan, he has a podcast that's probably one of the most popular podcasts out there. And it's called the Joe Rogan Experience. And Spotify just did a contract with him for $100 million.
Oh,
$100 million.
I
And
love Joe Rogan. Good for him.
Joe Rogan's awesome, man, right?
I love that guy.
He's
Oh,
amazing.
good for him. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
But take this, man, $100 million for his exclusivity, because he's putting out his podcast in video format on YouTube. He's got his podcast on
So
iTunes.
just to stop putting it on other platforms.
Just to stop, and this is starting next year, just to stop putting on the platforms and be exclusive on Spotify. And the crazy thing about this is that Spotify is more like a music thing, like it's like a music player, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even have video yet. And so that tells you that this is a big space, and literally that contract has put content creators on the map, because now there's like a market price for them. And literally it's like they went out and got the best player and put them on their team. It's like they bought the best player, and instantly Spotify's market price went up $1 billion. So they
Their
literally
valuation, their valuation just skyrocketed. Yeah, I mean,
it's incredible.
the business world we live in is insane. And it's because it's ever changing. Anybody can start a business. And as technology grows, that's just making it more and more accessible for anybody to start a business. All you need is some capital and an idea and execution. That's the triple threat. And when you're talking about this content creation space, it's just started. It's just started. YouTube just
Right.
started taking a little piece away from cable companies. And then, like I remember when YouTube was bought, you remember that? I think like it's probably when we were
Oh,
back in the day, but
yeah.
and I remember thinking, I was like, oh, Google bought that? It was 14 billion, I believe. Or I think it was actually 7 billion. I don't know. Someone's gonna fact check this. Somewhere in that range, 7 to 14 billion.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, overpaid, man, overpaid, absolutely overpaid. They go, those YouTube guys, they got minted. And then they finally released YouTube's revenues this year because they were saying you have to make the YouTube, you have to split it. Google, you can't just say it's all Google. What's YouTube doing?
Yeah.
And it was much more than that. It was, I don't know the exact figures, but it was more than they paid a year in 1 year, right? So it's like this. What's going to happen here is what you're talking about is content. And it's such a broad word these days. People throw
Yeah.
that on. I'm a content creator, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's like what it used to be to like call yourself an entrepreneur. You're like, oh, so unemployed? Like, well,
Yeah.
transitioning, working on some things. Like, oh, I'm a content creator. How many subs you have? It's like it's immediately like, where's your stats? Because you could either be a good content or then. But the truth is, anybody can create content. There's so many versions of that, right? Podcasts is one. You have videos, you have music, you have art. There's these interactive sort of content channels now where there's like even Twitch is a one-way interaction streaming. There's so many versions of content, even if it's just the video medium alone, different versions of how videos are interacting. We have not even thought, the technology has not even hit anywhere close to where it's going to be in the levels of different types of content, different types of platforms, different types of influencers that like Joe Rogan, that are going to get other exclusivity deals to focus on other platforms, right?
Mhm.
Similar to that, Ninja and Shroud, they got paid in undisclosed, but definitely over 10 million, in that range, to sign an exclusivity contract with Mixer to leave Twitch. And Mixer just shut down like 2 days ago. And they got paid out.
Wow.
So they got paid out these big contracts, and then they rejected Facebook. Now everyone's asking, where are they going to go? Are they going to go back to Twitch? Well, it's only two questions. You can go back to Twitch, or you're going to go back to YouTube. If you rejected Facebook, right? So YouTube, it's like one of those two. So Mixer just invested a lot of money, and that sort of happened, right? So it's one of these things where the industry is growing so big, these kind of things can happen. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a company blow $60 million because they believed in this platform? Right? It was Microsoft, so I'm sure they just wrote it off. But yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
sorry to ramble. It's just like, it is an exciting industry and it's growing so quickly. This
Yeah.
content is blowing up. More people are engaging in YouTube videos and content online than any other format, right? Not
Mhm.
the cable TV anymore, no radio. They're not going to the movie theaters. People are staying in the comforts of their home and finding the content that they like, the personalized, the stuff that hits their purpose and their soul and their things that they want to do, while they're not getting brainwashed by what the media wants to put. It's like a more decentralized system, and I think it's just in its infancy, and I think it's just going to keep growing massively.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. Yeah, there's so much more power and freedom that's coming into our hands just because of the internet. And like you say, it's like in its infancy. Like this stuff is just getting started. So
It's just
it's
getting started. Yeah,
never too late,
absolutely.
and so that's really great. So I want to kind of go back and kind of share with everybody where you've come from, your journey. I mean, you've got like quite the track record. You worked like 4 summers in
Yeah.
Alaska for doing some fish work there, which was like some hardcore work. And then you went on for like for 3 years of door to door selling and stuff where we met. and then I'll let you explain your kind of journey and where you kind of
Yeah.
come from, where you're at now.
I mean, the best way I like to summarize my career history is that I read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Many people have probably heard of it, right? I love it. I love it. And they talk a lot of concepts about how to just work, right? How to just don't trade your time for money, right? Trade your time for skills and experience and really get out there. So I took that really to heart at a very young age. And even though I was forced to by my dad, he made me go out to Alaska for the first summer to work out there to cut fish. And it was tough. I didn't think I would make it. I was told that we'd make $1,500 a month and make some tips, and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks, right? Like that kind of sucks. Okay, but my dad's making me go, so I'll go. I loved it. We had to work so hard, but for once in my life, I didn't have to think. It was like people told me what to do, or I knew what to do, and I just do it. I gotta cut wood, cut the wood, and eat. It was like a simple life. We worked so hard, 20-hour days. We pulled 72-hour shifts with like a 20-minute nap. Like we just went for it. And it's a lot of credit to the Alaskans. Like if anybody from Alaska is watching, like, oh my God, you guys are nuts in the summer. 24-hour daylight. They just do not stop. They're like, we'll sleep in the winter. I'm like, but my sleep schedule is slightly different. Like, you just go ahead. But I loved it. Went back for 4 summers, and I learned there how to work physically hard. Right. That's where I felt I really could grind, physically, and I started learning how to push my body and, really don't give up. Right. Just learn that grit. Because before I was not. I was a lazy kid who could get away with just being clever. I grew up well, a bit more clever than my average peer. So why don't I just make a little, talk my way out of it? I was that guy, right? And then I learned, I was like, you can't succeed like that. I got to learn how to really work. So I went back 3-4 summers, and then after that, I was like, okay, now, did the door-to-door gig, and I feel like that to me was so, I loved it as well. I loved it. The commission factor, I deserve what we win. And that was, it had a little bit of a physical aspect, always walking around all the time, but not really. It was more mental. That's where I summarize, where I learned how to be mentally strong, to actually get up every day to take 10 fuck yous with a trainee standing next to you, trying to convince them to do what you're doing every day. Being in a financially tough situation, doing door to door in Vancouver, right, is not easy, and just having to have a great attitude. It's not human. It's really not. Like you're like growth hacking your brain, or you're like life hacking your brain to somehow trick yourself to think that you can beat this thing, and you can. But it's not natural, right? Like, screw you. All right, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. No, it's not human to have that kind of, right? So it's mentally
Every no leads
difficult.
to a yes, man.
Yeah,
Every
absolutely. No,
tough
I mean,
road to a yes.
I'm not saying don't do that. It's great, and it kind of like really like catalyzes your mental fortitude and your
Mm-hmm.
ability to get up. Right? You've sat on the curb before, and binder in hand, and like, I'm not gonna lie, I cried a couple times on the field.
Yeah,
It hurt.
intense,
It
man.
hurt.
Yeah,
You can't eat. You don't
especially
have.
when you're in a slump and you're not
Yeah,
trending. You're not hitting
yeah,
up. You're not hitting those targets that everybody's trying to
right.
hold you accountable for.
That
And
guy promised he would sign today.
yeah,
That guy said he would. and uh, and I need to
yeah.
eat. No, I mean it gets emotional. And you got to just get up and you got to lead your team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just got to get up and you got to make sure you go back and you ring that bell, or do you do what you do and you get on that speech and you show your team that I got this shit. And it takes a mental crazy perception shift, right? This attitude that's always being talked about. I see it as perception. To actually change your perception of something so radically, and have your mind be like, oh, sorry about that, and have your mind be like, oh, that's totally normal. Let's just keep going, right? Let's just keep trying.
Yeah.
That is difficult, right?
Yeah,
So
man.
then after, starting up with the startup that I joined in Spain, um, that I found was emotionally difficult, right? That's where I learned, how to make emotional, like get in touch with my emotional self. So I look at these as like the three pillars of my foundation. It's just like physical, you gotta be physically strong. Mental, gotta have this mental fortitude because, physically you gotta be strong because you gotta support your health and your own ability to
Right.
work and all these things. And then mentally, you gotta have your mental health. Everybody knows that, right? You gotta be thinking right. You gotta have a good perception, a good attitude. Can't be depressed and just, like always down or always feeling like you're a victim. Right. You have a strong mentality. And then the third thing is that emotional, right? We are emotional humans.
Right.
I am so emotional. Like you probably can agree.
Yeah.
And for me, I've learned over my career that, and especially at this last segment, growing a company from joining it with the co-founders, being the first employee, and growing it beyond my own beliefs, to seeing 20, 30 people running around and,
Yeah. You were like the
VCs
first
coming in.
employee there, right?
Yeah. And just seeing all these people being in charge of so much, having all these responsibilities and making so many mistakes. I will not deny, I'm not going to say I did it flying colors. Absolutely not. My previous company will say, they will be like, no, like, we made mistakes, but we grew it and we did really well, right? I ended up leaving that for my own personal reasons, my own sort of, nothing against the company. It was my own sort of, I need to leave. I gave my 1 year notice, right? It wasn't a take it easy, guys. It was, this is my last year.
Yeah.
And I know we had plans and I know I'm so invested and I know I have, these shares and I know it's worth a lot. And guys, I know I want to go start my family
Yeah.
and I want to go start something that I can take, and build upon myself. And this isn't working. It's not aligning anymore. So I had
Mm-hmm.
to make that difficult decision. That's very emotionally tough. Like you build something for 5 years, see it get that far, and to just decide, I'm not happy. I'm emotionally not feeling this. I don't feel good about this. I'm not waking up in the day feeling like I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling like I'm a victim. Why is my mental health now that I learned how to be emotionally strong, be in touch with my own feelings, try to find out what is going on. Why do I care about this? What do I need to do? Try to tie all these three together, right? Try to build it in my routines and then build something that makes everything work. Right. So we just dropped everything, started this company in literally March of 2020. And
Yeah.
then 40 in Spain and 48 hours later, we're in a lockdown, police lockdown, right? And I'm walking my dog with like my passport and, just making sure I'm like, oh, all good here. And it's tough. Again, it's mentally tough to
Right.
put everything you had, launch a business, and then have this
Yeah.
happen and not feel like a victim. So it was these three categories that really kind of contributed to like my whole foundation of my career. And I feel very fortunate that, to dive into those hard learning experiences, I felt very fortunate to be able to have these experiences, to be able to go to Alaska, to be able to work door to door with you guys. And I mean, these
Right.
aren't, it's not easy to get to maybe it's easy to get in, right? But it's not easy to stay there and to survive and to really get that far and to see how that all works and to really dive into it. So it's quite,
Mm-hmm.
I feel quite fortunate to have that kind of career background.
That's so sick, man. Yeah, I mean, I admire you when I was, in those door-to-door days, and you were like the assistant manager for me. We were making like this big push for you to hit those numbers and get you promoted. It was so awesome,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
We were
yeah,
all
yeah,
like, oh, it was
yeah,
amazing because we're all like, it was such a good culture there. I really loved the culture, and that was really what really I found was so amazing being a part of that team and just a part of that office. And like I would have never expected to have such an amazing time there. Like I came out of high school and I applied for a job because I needed a job to essentially I got knocked into life and I need to have money to go to college or whatever. So I
yeah.
just went out into the workforce and like long story short, my first couple months there, I was just so amazed of how amazing this was, because I was going out in the field, talking to people, I was learning sales, right? I was learning sales and making money, and I was getting all this culture and leadership from you
Yeah.
and the whole office and all this, and everybody, even though there was like a separate team in that office, we're kind of like in a competition, so to say. They were still
Hmm.
like doing one-on-ones with me and helping me to become better. And I was like, wow, like this is such like a selfless giving culture. And I was like, man, this is so amazing. Like, is this what entrepreneurship is? And it just blew my mind, that what some people might call them salespeople, but they're leaders. And I think you're a prime example of how those two things come together. And you know what, I just want to mention, like, for people, that how important it is to have this sales experience, or this communication skills. Like, it is the most important and crucial skill in the world, that even Warren Buffett tells
Yep.
people. He was actually being interviewed um, on stage for like his conference, and a lady was actually asking him, hey, for people who are just going out to the workforce, how can we be more valuable going out there? How can we be more valuable? And his answer was, you would think he would answer, get good at identifying stocks, or get good at banking,
Hmm.
figure out these financing strategies, but it wasn't that. He would actually recommended you to go and take a course or study communication, sales, or persuasion. And the reason why he said that is because back in the day, for himself, he needed to be able to sell himself. He needed to be able to
Dang.
communicate.
Yep.
Otherwise, if he didn't do that, you know, he would be like the most famous, like the best money manager in the world that nobody ever knew.
Exactly. And it's fascinating that you mentioned that, because I would have never thought Warren Buffett would have said that either. No way. No way I
Right?
would have guessed that, man. Like, honestly, so that's kind of mind blowing to me. But I agree 100%. I don't expect my kids to be entrepreneurs. I definitely want to have children. I don't expect them to, be doctors. I really don't care. But if they were to ask me, what would you recommend I do when I get out of school? I'd say 100%. Go door to door. Like,
Yeah, man.
like it's if you have the opportunity to do it, it's a test of like your ability. It's not like people see sales as this evil, greasy used car salesman sales,
Right.
right? And when I see people and they come on and they come to interview, or they ask me, or Ryan, how do you close the deal? And it's like, you're looking at it all wrong. Like, the reason why you're not closing deals, and the reason why you're getting your sales clawed back, and the reason why you're not, seeing consistency in your results, is for one simple reason: is because it's not coming from the right place, right? I close sales on one concept: win-win. It's that simple. Business from an original standpoint was, I have too much of this, you have too much of that, you want to, you want to trade. That's a win-win.
Mm.
How business has evolved because of greed at a very high level, it's become, how can I maximize profit? That's what I'm against,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm a different breed, and I'm not saying that that's how you have to think. I see it as, I can make a good, honest living doing win-wins. If I can make $1 million doing win-wins, I'm happy. I don't need 1 billion. Right? Maybe I say that now, and then later, it's just like, wow, what 1 billion? No, but like, I feel like if I, at the expense, like, if I can get 1 billion and win-wins, hey, let's go. But my point is that if it's going to cost me my ethics, my morals, to get another billion or another million, even, by sacrificing and making that a win-lose, I know somebody's going to lose. So I'm not trying to be like all holistically saying that no one loses. But my point is that the core element, right? You're helping somebody and they're providing value. So a value-based sale,
Mm.
right? Yes, some competitor's going to lose. Surely that's business. But a value-based sale, none of the scamming, no, just close the deal. Just get them to sign.
Right.
Right. When we were selling telecom, and I'm sure you remember,
Yeah.
When there was that one season where CRTC started letting TELUS do callbacks on their port overs.
Mm.
And we went from, like, I remember looking at the report, and we went from 1 week where reps were doing 1,100 a week to zero. And we had a meeting in it, and I was like, wow. I was like, who still has a check? And I was like, I do. And I was the only one. Everyone else, it's just everything's gone. And Ali looked at me and was just like, well, what are your guys saying? I was like, I don't know. I'll ask them. So I called my business owners, right? I'm like, yo, what happened? Did TELUS call you? They're like, yeah, I told them to fuck off. And I was like, okay, sweet, dude. Like, he's like, well, you said, man, like I mean, you made it very clear. They've been fucking me for a very long time. So I'm gonna give you a shot, right? Whereas everyone else was kind of closing these deals where they were like, look, man, all you got to do, you save money. You save money, right? You save this money. Look at all this money you save.
Right.
And I was just like, look, man, if I ran a business, I'd be pissed off. I'd be like, wait, you're telling me that somebody else is publicly offering this price, and then you didn't call me after I've been sending you all this money all this time? Like, I have a rep, and I've been and I would get people emotionally invested into my vision.
Mm.
And they would never cancel. They would never cancel. I would, and they would buy the item I was selling. Right? So if people are seeing sales as this trick, or I can impulse you, or I can, emotionally manipulate or persuade, you're looking at it all wrong. Right? What you need to find is what you're good at. Right? I was lucky to understand at a very young age that I wasn't good at very many things. I couldn't, my mom spoke to me Korean all my life. I could never learn it effectively. Right? Foreign language. I've been in Spain for 5 years, could never learn. I was like, organization, oh my God. I have so many weaknesses, but I only focus on one thing. And I was working with people and maximizing people's performance because I believe in them so much. And I believe in our synergy so much. And I believe that we can build something so beautiful and so great together because we can share those skills and we can combine them. That why do you need to scam anybody? Just find the guy that needs what you're selling. Unless what you're selling isn't good, then you're just working for the wrong company, right? So it's like, I see sales completely different, and I see leadership as starting with leading with yourself.
Right.
And I see them hand in hand. I was like, leaders are great at sales because they figure it out. Like, I know leaders who come from marketing or other backgrounds that can naturally sell. Why? Because they understand this. They're so in tune with themselves and they're able to lead themselves. They're so in tune with their product or what they're doing that they naturally sell. They're just like, look, no pressure, right? This is what I do. And they close a deal. I've seen people who's great at sales, right, just naturally fall into leadership. Right? But it's not necessarily directly correlated, but I think there's a lot of overlap there. Why? Because when you can actually teach yourself and lead yourself to get up in the morning, to maintain your attitude every time, to not miss a day, right? All these things, if you can lead yourself to set a great example, to do all these things the be you have, right? Like you gotta be that person first, not wait till the things you get and have, and then you do all these things. It's like people have it wrong, right? So you lead yourself first and you can sell. That's easy.
Yeah.
And when you figure out how to sell, they naturally figure out how to lead because they realize it's like, okay, I'm great at leading myself. All I got to do is teach people how to do that. I just got to transfer that over. Right? Leadership is not that simple. We win together.
Yeah.
And we find the way to get there. So
If you were to like put that into like a simplified version, let's say, for people to really grasp, practically how they can put that into action for themselves. Let's say they're a
absolutely.
salesperson or a leader or even an entrepreneur, right? At the end of the day, sales is what makes everything go around. So what would you say to them?
Like on the sales side, if you really want to close deals, right? Like just talk about it from a fiscal perspective. If you want to make more money, like if you have a pipeline that you're looking at and you're like, man, I'm not going to hit target, or I'm not going to make revenue this month, or I'm not going to have profit, and you want to close deals, the first thing you do is ask yourself why that client needs what you're selling, right? You got to be so in line with your demographic and target markets and your value proposition. This is sales. If you don't understand those two facets of what you're doing, then you will not sell very great. I don't care. Right? You need to know who's buying your stuff, and you need to know why you're better. And you need to find those connections. You need to be able to go, that's my perfect customer, and this is why I have this that's above everything else. And if you can do that, you don't need to hustle anything. All you need to do is be a good communicator, like Warren Buffett says, and just go, whoop, hey, wait, hold on, guys. I'm looking at it like this. Do you see that? I do. Do you see that? I do. Does this make sense? It does. But I have a concern. Okay, what is it? This, and that. That's not selling, right? Some people may look at that and be like, oh, dude, you objection handled that guy and you closed that guy, you impulsed him. I mean, no, I didn't. I said hello, right? We bonded on a human level, right? We connected, and I was able to show him the value that I offer, that I'm differentiated from my competitors, and why I can make his life better, because he's feeling this pain point, because I know. I didn't talk to all the people that would tell me no, right? If you're getting a lot of no's, it's because you're talking to a lot of the wrong people. You're going door to door,
Yeah.
right? And that's fine. You can get results that way, right? I'm not saying door to door is a bad way. You can get results that way.
100%.
All I'm saying is, you want to land $1 million clients. You want to land 500K recurring a month clients.
Right.
You want to build a business around people that are the unicorns in your industry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you need to find out what those unicorns really want, because I guarantee you it's not price. I guarantee it. And I guarantee the unicorns don't care about how pretty your logo is, right? These people care about true value and what you can drive as a business. And if you can find the company, or you are that company that can provide that, and or you build that, or to pivot your business to adhere to that, and then simply communicate it to them and do the door knocking to that one guy, you can land it, and you can build an entire life out of that.
Mm.
And that's my message to salespeople who are getting into the workforce. It's not about making your next paycheck. It's about learning how to close the best deal of your life and building something around that. And that may be the woman or man of your life. That may be the business deal or the client of your life. That may be just the place you live, right? It's the persuasion and understanding that you may have these interactions where you close something that could change your life, because it's that important and you want it. Just a simple concept, just connect that value to what you provide.
Yeah.
Right.
And to go deeper on that, it's like a matter of like the perfect client traits that your ideal client has. And this is something actually, my mentor Jeremy Haynes, he mentions,
Yep.
Because he's similar. He works with elite level clients. He works with people like Dan Locke, even Ty Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
Those kinds of people.
Nice.
And in order for you to, like you say, communicate with those kinds of people, you have to actually, like you say, have a human connection and really offer them exactly what you know that they need, right? And he talks about this
Exactly.
concept of putting that perfect client's trait so that you know who fits this criteria and who doesn't, so that you're kind of sniping these specific people and putting more value into your approach.
Absolutely. 110%. It's the, it's called account-based management now, right? The key term is ABM, and there's all the hype about it. But look, it's very simple. You're net fishing with door to door, you're spear fishing this way. Right? Are you going to go for the client and invest, everything you have because you know your stuff so well, right? It requires expertise. So I'm not saying it's easy, right? I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, why don't you just do this and go do that? No, that's why it takes 10 years of grinding in an industry and sweeping the floors to figure out why is this working this way? And how, oh my God, I have an idea. I know that client. I know what his pain point is. Boom, you start a business, you fix that pain point. You just make a little MVP and you pitch them, and they're going to go, like a doctor, right? You go to a doctor, you don't think that the doctor is selling you. They're not like, I think that's a broken arm. $200? No, they're like, dude, you broke your arm. This is what you need. And you're
Right.
like, yeah, here you go. Right. But as salespeople, we don't look at it that way. Like, you're an expert of your field. Come on, right? Some people out there selling for 10 years, they're absolute experts of their field. And they walk in like, you're trying to convince somebody of something. What are you trying to convince? Dude, I know your system is broken. All I'm trying to tell you is that this will fix it. And this is exactly how.
Right. Complete.
Indifference, complete indifference,
Yeah.
right? It's just like, what am I selling? I don't need to sell anything. If you don't want it, don't buy it. I'm just telling you this is how it helps you. And that's closes deals.
Yeah.
That's what has closed every single big deal of my entire life, is just going, look, I mean, I don't care either way, right? Like, I'm just here to communicate that you this will do this and address any concerns that you have. And if you want it, there's the pen and there's the paper. And if not, there's the door. And people are like, yeah, yeah, you're right. All right. Well, how does this work? How does this work, dude? Why? Because they like me or whatever. That's part of it. Right? You got to get people to like you. But once you can be put in a platform where you can actually close that, right? You can actually communicate that. Game over. That's sales. As simple as that. Win-win. It's the only game in the world that's win-win, and that's why I love it.
Bang on. And I love how you mentioned the MVP there. And for anybody wondering what MVP was, it's a minimum viable product. And so basically, because you know exactly what their pain point is, in order to really feed that need immediately, you make the minimum viable product that can solve their needs and bring it to marketplace right away, so that
That's it.
you're in, right?
That's
And
it.
you work with that, and then you optimize. And I think a lot of people might overthink it, right? Like, oh, I have to have the perfect product, I have to have the perfect marketing strategy, I have to have the perfect branding. And I think maybe what you can attest to that is like, no way.
I mean, it's about resources, right? It's business's resources. Where are you putting your time and attention to? Vanity metrics? Things that make you feel good? Sure. I guess it's cool. Put a roster up. Say I'm super big. We don't put any of that on our website. Why? We don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm not looking for clients. So, it's not, that's all that's going to do is just breed. Like, no.
You don't need a
For
fancy website to get
Yeah,
clients.
you don't need that, right? At the end of the day, we get tons of calls just because of people who know us in the industry. Like, dude, I got this guy. He could really, we get so many leads. We're just like overwhelmed. It's like we're trying to scale it properly. But at the end of the day, it's just, why? It's not because we're selling. We don't focus on the vanity metrics, right? There's so many of those. The ego metrics, the things that make you feel good. Oh, I got a new font on my website. Okay. How much revenue did that generate you? No. And our clients know, and our partners know, all the way down from the people who buy the t-shirts, is that we give it our all. We just give it our all. Everything we have is put towards you guys. Like, we're not putting it in the branding or the marketing or the, hey, look how cool we are. No, it goes straight to like the goods, like quality of the goods. Your cut of the influencers payment, right? They're like, oh my God, that's massive. We're like, yeah, because we're eliminating all the bullshit, right? Like, it's just like, stick to the value, stick to the real substance. And I think business has gone so far from that with all this like burn rate, right? Like, if your business is burning money and you have investment, like, I don't understand that. What is that? Because of a valuation? That's right. Like, this is the kind of business that I get it. There's ways that these things work, but I'm not about that personally. I believe in a core value-based operation. And I think that when, from a sales perspective, I think it's so important. It's so important to understand your value. Otherwise, what are you selling? You're just hustling, right? Otherwise, you're just a scammer.
Yeah. And you don't care.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just trying to scam somebody. And if that's what you're about, then I don't know why you're on the call, right? Or I don't know why you're listening to this, because you're not going to get anything. So it's like, that's my belief, and it may be a bit holistic, right? It may not be what everybody wants to hear, but I'll tell you that the track record that I've had in closing deals is insane, right? And I mean, like, statistically, from percentages of closing. And that's because of a lot of the door-to-door stuff, right? But it's also because I just would refuse to let these deals go. Just refuse. I just didn't want, like, I believed so much in what I was pitching that it just would happen eventually. And I didn't look back. Like, you know, I was told later that, like, you submitted your numbers to our group, and what the hell, dude? This doesn't exist. Like, what do you? These are fake. And I was like, oh, is it? I don't know. Like, this is not real. Like, how'd you do this? I I don't know. Like, I don't know. They're like, show us. So put the tracking input, you know, and it's all this stuff. And even surprised me. I'm like, well, I guess I just focus on communicating vision. Do you believe what I'm saying? Yes, I do. Great. Do you think that it's going to help your business? Absolutely. Then let's do it. But take your time. I'll be around, you know, and you just leave it with them and they'll come back.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's deep.
sales is so fun too, right? Like, you got to have fun with it. Like, you got to enjoy it. You got to enjoy meeting people. I'm lucky I'm expressive. I'm lucky that I have that enjoyment to want to connect with people. But also, I think no matter who you are, human connection, social interaction, that's all very important skill sets to understand and know. Having that emotional intelligence to know how somebody feels.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're imposing maybe on their own personal space, even, you know, like, these are little things that sales teaches you so much,
I
so
can
much.
attest to
So,
that, man. 100%. I've seen the most success where I've had that bond with somebody, then I can really care about their business, you know, and I want their
yep,
business. Like they can feel that, and I think that's something sometimes we forget that is very important, and it should be a part of your value. That you really should care about their success. If you don't care about their success, you don't care about the account, you don't care about, you know, that relationship, then it's like it's not that strong. And you know what I mean? And I feel like that's, you communicate that,
absolutely.
you know, you only work with those kinds of people, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it takes time. So I'm not going to say you can change your life overnight. It does take time. It takes,
Right.
you know, you got to hunt down the doors, you got to hunt down the DMs, you got to do the process to go that route. And there's a whole thing about it. Maybe you could do another podcast on that, right? Just specifically spear hunting these unicorns. I mean, it's a huge topic in itself.
Right.
But the core about it is knowing your USP, knowing your value proposition, and knowing who that unicorn really is and what they eat. What does that unicorn love? You know,
Yeah.
what unicorn food is hot these days? So you're trying to find, right? You're trying to find that. Ooh, that's the tasty unicorn food. I got that, and I'm gonna stock up on that. I'm gonna close it, right, and have fun with it. So
Nice,
it's
man.
cool stuff. I love it.
That's so cool. So what would you say, like, if you were to like credit something to your success, like what were some things that you would probably credit to where you're at now?
Mentors,
Mentors.
mentors, books. I mean, guys and girls, right? Like, it's like, if you honestly think that you're gonna figure it out yourself, you're so wrong, right? You're just so wrong. Um, you gotta have the humility to understand that you may be super smart, super capable, and super good at many things, but there's no point of it going alone. There's no point of it not accepting your weaknesses and going and finding the education and the people that are willing to help you and support you to get you hit your goals. Because it feels good to help people hit goals, right? I've built a lot around that. I'm sure you do the same, Cheyenne, right? Like, it's all about giving back. I was given so much by people who didn't need to at all. So hell yeah, I'm going to give it back. Hell no, I don't need anything in return. Why? Because as a kid trying to make it in this cruel world, right? Trying to make it out here
Yeah.
with nothing, it's unforgiving. It's relentless, right? And there are people who will help you. There are books out there that people have written who have spent their life dedicated to solving that problem that you're having.
Right.
Yes, it's worth it to take a couple hours out of your day to read that.
Mm-hmm.
Try to implement a couple things. You don't got to be as good at it as that person who wrote the book, but you could definitely take away a couple things and improve your life, right? So there's so many people. This is like infinite of people who have helped me and guided me and mentored, pick up my calls, crying, right? I gotta leave. Oh my God, I was so crushed, right? Roller coaster. All my friends, right? They're like, Ryan, you're the only, like, he's like, it doesn't even matter who's calling because I'll look at it, and if it's a call, I'll know it's you because only people text me. It's like, you're the only one. All my friends, right? They're like, so if somebody's calling me, it's either a salesperson or you. And I was like, seriously? Right? And it's like, I refuse to text mostly because I feel like it's like, it downs the communication level that I think technology allows us to have phone calls. We should have them, right? Like I don't feel like that's needed. I can get a lot more communication on 30 seconds done. But yeah, it's, I don't even know what I was saying. Another rant. You get me so like, Cheyenne, you just get me all like ranted. Like
Dude,
oh,
you got tons of
what is it?
wisdom,
What do I
man. Good stuff.
attribute? What do I attribute the most? Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. Definitely is that. Just
yeah.
having that student mentality to keep asking questions, keep learning, keep reading, keep overcoming your challenges. It's what I truly feel life is about. Is the fulfillment and purpose of life is trying to beat those challenges, and that feeling, that bliss, that nourishment of the soul that you get when you win after you were so defeated. The Cinderella story, man, everybody knows it, everybody loves it, right? Oh, find Mr. Miyagi, get better, and then make the and win, right? So it's all about that. We live for that. We love it. But you got to embrace it. Otherwise, it's not easy. It's constant. It's forever. But it's good. It's a good thing. Having that student mentor, reading books, learning, growing, watching videos even, right? It's not just about reading. It's just getting that content and that information that you need to like get better.
Knowledge is power, man. It's true. It's a fact.
Yep.
Obviously you got to put that stuff into action, as we're saying, but like it can completely change your life. I mean, ever since I read my first book, which was Rich Dad Poor Dad, it
No way.
it was, yeah,
No way. Oh
it changed
man,
my life.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
so amazing, because I was like, what? This kind of information is in a $20 book? How is this possible? It's $20. you
Tell me.
know, like it made no sense to me. So I thought it was just incredible, man. And ever since then, I was hooked, and I would just start reading and reading and reading.
Absolutely.
And I can't tell you how powerful it is, because it helps. It's actually so interesting. There is this photo out there, and maybe people have seen it on social media, where it's like where when you're not reading, and then when you do read and you take a look out, it's like you have flashlight on your eyes, right? Because you can see more. Like you can see way more. It's incredible, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it's really
Absolutely.
yeah.
So many people say that, so I don't mean to like cop out with that answer, but I truly believe it, right? Just keep learning, keep finding like mentors, specifically mentors. Those people, they're out there. They
Mm,
see it, they're like, oh, I love this kid. I think you're gonna go somewhere. All right, give me. Like,
mm,
I'm gonna call you all the time. I mean, there's some people out there who just love it, right? They're like, oh, I want to live vicariously and just pass on knowledge. Take it
mm.
viciously, right? Scrape for it, claw for it, milk it as much as you can, because that information, as long as they've achieved the results that you're looking for, right? Don't do it with just random people that you
Right,
think they have to have the result. Remember that. Like my
right.
dad, hate to say dad sometimes, gotta let the advice go, but like a lot of other things, definitely, right? It's like many things, definitely, but you gotta take it, you gotta milk it, you gotta use it, implement it, apply it, learn, get excited about it, and then things will happen.
It's
Start
funny you
preparing.
say that, actually, about your dad. Like I feel the same way, exactly same way. I mean, I love him. He has tons of wisdom that he's channeled into me. He's built my character. He's giving me a lot of tough love, right? I'm curious to know
Absolutely.
what's your take on that, like on that.
Oh, I don't mean to bash my dad because he actually gave me that book, right? So in all of my heart,
Wow.
he had a poor dad, and he literally gave me the book, and he said, I've been trying to be a rich dad for you. He was like, I've been trying. He's like, and he's like, go be a rich dad. And he just gave me the book, and he's like, I'm sorry. And my dad always felt like he's failed. And I always told him, you have not failed
Wow.
in any way whatsoever, because he's not a millionaire, like my dad's not living in a slum, right? He lives in Hawaii, drives a nice car, and he has a nice flat. Like, I don't know what the problem is, but in his mind,
Yeah.
he's like, you got a government worker. He got retired from the army, so it's not like he's balling. but he does okay and he's happy and all that. But he feels like he's failed. He feels like he was a poor dad. And in certain financial ways and strategies, yes, I can't necessarily take his advice of like, what do I do if I'm trying to make a $20 million company? Sorry, Dad, you don't have a $20 million company. But oh my God, the things that I learned from my dad and the things that he's taught me in every other way, and even just giving me that book, right? Like even just the self-awareness to know that's like, look, son, I didn't quite do it, but go get it. Like go do it, you know? And I read that book like 100 times, right? I really took that to heart. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough sometimes when you're in a different generation. You understand. I'm certainly going to get punished when I have kids. Like my kids are going to make my life difficult. I know it because just karma. You know, I made my parents' life so difficult. After all they gave me and after all they've done for me, I just truly, you know, I'm in Spain. They're far away. Like they're like everybody else's kids are near them. You know, like you're across the world. I'm like, I know. I'm so sorry. I'll come home soon. You know, it's like, but at the same time, right, in the context of advice, you got to pick and choose a little bit who, you know, what specifically that advice is for and what you're trying to do. But still, I look for my dad for mentorship still, right? Definitely, like he's very involved in just keeping me in line and my headspace correct, because to this day, no matter what my accomplishments are, that guy has done far more and overcome far more than I could have ever imagined. You know what I mean? Right? Like we're lucky, Cheyenne. We live, you know, pandemic happened, COVID, and we're all crying that we got to stay home and watch Twitch. My dad turned to me and was like, look, man, I was drafted into the Vietnam War at the age of 18. So you need to like
Whoa.
take your little vacation
Yeah.
and just shut up for a second, right? And I was like, yeah, fair enough, Dad. Yep, that's cool. You're right. Perspective. Perspective. You know, and he has that really gritty military sort of background, and he's taught me a lot, no doubt. No doubt. Crack the whip a little bit, you know. What about you? Is your dad like a bit of a hard ass
Oh,
or
100%, man. His dad was in the military, like one of the top
oh
generals, you know, and
yeah.
I think he's just like passing
Military
it
as
on
well.
to
Oh my
me.
god. Oh my
He's
god.
like, dude, this is what I went through. I'm giving it back to you.
Somebody's gonna watch this, Cheyenne, and psychologically profile us and be like, "Oh, I see why these two are like the way they are." Right? We have some sort of psychological profile done because it's like,
Right.
"Oh, maybe this is why we are who we are." I don't know. That's hilarious,
Yeah,
though.
man.
Yeah, it's good though, right? It's a good sort of, I guess, father thing to have. I guess a little bit of structure. My dad sounds
Yeah.
similar.
I would say it was like somewhat leadership, you know,
Yep.
teach you how to be on your own and, you know, be tough. I think that's an important trait because these days everybody's soft. You know, everybody's too soft, man. What the hell's going on?
In a way, sometimes I agree. In a way, you know, I'm not to sound harsh. I do feel like sometimes I feel like people give up a little bit easily and feel like they're a victim a bit too much. And not to say that I don't understand what everybody's going through, so not to be
Right.
insensitive,
100%.
right? But life is life, right? And you got to fight no matter what. There's no giving up. I don't see a giving up. I don't you know, everybody has hard things that go on, but it doesn't give you an excuse to give up. So it's like you just gotta keep pressing on, you know, however hard that is. I'm not saying I've had it so hard that I deserve, you know, to not understand. I know people have it way harder than me. I know that, but it doesn't mean we give up, right? It doesn't mean we just go, oh, I'm done.
That's
You
it.
just can't. You just can't. Just
Yeah.
keep getting up, keep
You might get
fighting.
knocked out one day, but you don't give up,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. You just keep fighting. I mean, that's what life's about. And you just keep, you know, trying to wake up the next day, sun still shines, get back up on the horse and you just keep going. You just keep going. And one day, as long as you kind of, you know, hopefully made the right decisions, you'll find what you're looking for. Right? Like find what you're looking for. I mean, maybe it's not as glamorous as we all hope, but that, I guess it is what it is, right?
I like to say that, you know, things just kind of start to click eventually. That comes together.
Yep.
And it's important to just get started and like you say, never give up. You know, build that vision for yourself. Would you say like, you know, what were some things like along your journey that kept you going? Because you've been through some tough times, like those door-to-door days, working with through those fish, that job, and
Oh man,
all the stuff that you've gone through. Like, what would you say has kept you going?
like I'll give an example, right? Like even just leaving door to door, you know how tough that was, right? Growing a big team, to grow your team, you have to take them out in the field, to take them out of the field, convince them to do 100% commission. Then they got to be a leader, and then they got to hit their numbers, and they got to build the, they got to teach them how to train, and then you got to take more people out in the field, and yeah, 14 times over, and then just leave it all. You're just like, oh, okay, well, I'm gone. And it was because of the immigration policies that changed. So that was the reason why I had to go, is because I went to UBC, Sauder School of Business, 4 years, got my Bachelor of Commerce and Marketing specialization. I then started working in Vancouver. So I was literally there for 7 years, right? I went to school there for 4 years, and then I still have like so much tax credit, federal and provincial there because of how much I paid for the education. And then one day it was just like permanent residency application. Sorry, buddy. That little business manager, independent contractor title, we removed that from the classes available moving on next year.
Wow.
So you got to just leave. They were like, you just got to leave and come back. And I was like, in this business, I can't leave for a month and come back, man. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? Like I leave and I come back. Like there's nobody's going to be here. So I was like, I'm just going to go, I guess. Like, and Ali was really upset. Everyone was really upset. There's nothing that could be done. We spoke to many lawyers, and it was US or Spain. Because I was my girlfriend at the time, and still is, was like, she's from Barcelona. And I was like, look, we can either go there or there. What do you want to do? She was like, I don't care. And I was like, I prefer Spain. I was like, and she's like, why? I was like, because I would rather take this time to take that kind of opportunity in my life, right? When I'm still young and I still can kind of do that. And then we can move back later, or we can figure it out later. So making that move, again, very tough decision. Why did I do it? Put it by force. I'm not going to take credit like I created this vision, but we put in a tough situation. Dreams were crushed, right? Like, like a few out of many people how hard we worked to build that, and just going, oh, well, no visa. So sorry, guys, even though I promised you, I'd commit to you guys to the end, and I promised you that we would build this dream together. And sorry, guys, it crushed me. It crushed me from an ethical point. It crushed me from a moral point. It crushed me from a mental. I was physically exhausted, right? I would wake up at 7 a.m, do one-on-ones every morning, do the door-to-door thing, do my one-on-ones after. I get home at 9 o'clock. I'd go to the gym with Rico.
Yeah.
I'd get home by like 10. I'd eat, I'd pass out. Like I would listen to like a couple YouTube videos, and that was it. And I was out. I'd wake up and do it again.
Man. I remember.
Right? 3 years of that. And it crushed me. So I would say what got me through that, and what was able to contribute to like where I am most, is being able to get back up. Because things like that have happened multiple times. That's not the hardest thing that has happened by any means. That was a blip on the radar. Wow. But the gravity of it, and to just be like, you know what? It's all good. I learned a lot. Let's start again. Take this 1,200. Like, I got paid when I came to Spain. Let me tell you this: 1,200 euros a month.
Damn, man.
Okay, that's less than what I made in Alaska like 10 years prior, dude. Like, yeah, it's like. Now, granted, the Spanish economy and the whole cost of living is much lower, and that actually was enough in many ways. But think about the ego hit, right? Think about the vanity hit. Think about all the things that many people consider. And I was like, I don't care.
After like 10 years.
I was like, I'm going to go backwards. Definitely. I'm going to go from, a sales manager to like an account manager. Fine. Give it to me. I'm the first one here, though. And I looked at the CEO, and I was like, and I'll tell you right now, I'm going to blow this thing up.
Yeah, buddy.
and he was just like, And I still remember the first day they were sitting there and I was like, how long is your sales velocity? He's like, hey, 1-2 weeks. I was like, okay, watch this. Pick up the phone. Somebody called, picked it up, cold closed it, right? It's just like, I was like,
Oh,
boom, yeah, you want that? You want
that
those
would be
t-shirts? Blah, 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 blah. Bang, get a credit card. Perfect. Thank you so much. Boom. And they were both just looking at me like, never seen that before. And I was like, well, why would I let her off the phone if I just can close it right now? And they were
right.
just like, damn, this is a different level, right? So then we
Yeah, man.
build, and you just earn that respect right away, and then
Yeah.
you build. So
You built
it's
that all
just
the way up. I mean, like, I don't know if you want to
absolutely,
disclose how much you built that up to, but we're talking like big figures, you know?
yeah. I mean, like we would do when I got there, we were doing we did 12 grand a month in sales, in
Mm,
revenue, top end revenues, total revenue in. So it's very little profit to work with. You're taking your cost of goods out. We're an agency model, so it's not like, we were paying printers to print it. It's not like we were printing it, so we didn't have that margin. We just have to make
yeah.
this minor margin off of our agency customer service. So that is low margin, 12K. But by the time I left, we were doing 200K, 250 a month, right? So scaling it about 20 times in sales revenue,
Mm,
growing the company from whatever startup in an apartment flat. We worked out of an apartment flat, like a residential flat,
yeah.
to an office with 20-30 employees, whatever it may be. All that's vanity to me. One of the main reasons why I wanted to leave was because I truly didn't believe in the business model anymore. I thought we made some big mistakes, and I wanted to fire everybody and focus on this one client. Right. And I put my notice in earlier that year so much to the point that I was like, look, I want to do this. I was like, so much that I'm willing to just leave, and then we can do it remotely and we can partner up. They were like, no. It kind of got a bit ugly. They wanted to do whatever. So I was like, fine, I'm just gone. And I left and I started a sales consultancy. I didn't even leave the business to go back into it. I just left. I was done with it. Started my family. And then the client came sort of inquiring, or I didn't even know what exactly happened, right? They're just like, look, what happened? How's it going? There was a relationship there, right? So I was like, how's it going? That's cool. And it was with me, it was with my partner. I don't speak Spanish, so it's not like me doing the actual account management either.
Oh, okay.
And my partner is like, talking, there's chatting, because that's how we are. We build relationships. There's a relationship there. And they were like, oh, we'll start a sales consultancy. We're doing this. Like, will you still do merch or what? We're like, well, we can if you want us to. I mean, yeah, and we built it around them, right? So it's like we didn't necessarily plan for all this to happen. We just focused on what was so core to us, and for us, it was starting a family, being together. Everything else didn't matter, and because we were able to just get back up and just be like, focus on why we were doing what we were doing. We were focusing on us and what's best for us. The rest didn't really matter. Focus on the whys, got back up, started something else, continue to learn. I only chose that job because I knew I could learn. I was like, I knew I could make all my mistakes. I knew I could go and play around a little bit. And then eventually after that, I would figure out what I would do. And I was lucky because it's kind of exactly how it played out. It was just I got to playground in a sandbox a little bit. But if I wasn't able to get up and accept that big ego hit, to take that opportunity to get paid nothing, right? To disappear into Spain after this whole career path that was all set out to be this owner and this, org, and going to these trips to LA, going to Atlanta, top leader, la la la, to like, yeah, I'm a junior account manager at a startup. I didn't care. That's what I attribute. Ego at the door, just get the work done, go learn what you need to learn, so you can one day go and find what really matters, right?
No, there you go, man. That's awesome, and that's why I love having you on the show, man. Because
Oh,
you're the main man. I love that.
that's cool, man. It's such a pleasure, honestly. Like this reminds me, and we probably took way more time than you probably planned, because I
I'm gonna
just
wrap up.
ramble,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's
But
all good. I mean, it's good stuff, man. And
it's so good.
yeah,
It feels good. This is what life's about, truly, and I appreciate being here.
awesome, man.
You've really, these topics. I love it. So thanks so
No,
much.
we can keep on going, but we gotta wrap it up for everybody here. And thanks so much,
100%.
Brian. Man,
Absolutely.
where can people get in touch with you? How can they find about you and business?
Honestly, the best socials for to sort of connect with me is on LinkedIn. We're like primarily heavily on LinkedIn, so I'll send you my profile. You can all, there's our website. Our company's called Leos Merch. You can just
Okay.
find us at leosmerch.com. But at the end of the day, um, where if anybody needs any advice, any help, we're always happy to chat, right? Like, it's not about, there's no selling here, right? It's just happy to provide any info on the industry, different tips, advice. We love it. Want to give back. So anything you
Awesome.
guys need.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Appreciate it. Thanks
Awesome.
for your time, man.
Hey, great catching up, Cheyenne.
Definitely. Do
Speaks
this again sometime.
100%. Anytime, my friend.
All right, man.
All right. Speak soon.